Hey everyone, I'm Richard. This is Grey Wizard Gaming, and today I'm talking about Cthulhu Death May Die. This is going to be a high-level overview. I'm going to try to keep it short. You know I'm really bad at that, but I'm going to try. Every day's a better day, right? I'll do more deeper videos in the future. So this game is along the same lines of games like Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, and of those three, I feel like it's a little bit Eldritch Horror and a little bit Mansions of Madness. Now those games are by Fantasy Flight Games, which I think by them purchasing Arkham Horror and then launching a whole line of games, they've really revitalized the Cthulhu board game market, which now is fairly big and lots of publishers make games. This game is by Cool Mini or Not. Now, if you know those games, Arkham Horror is a city level adventure. You can like street by street, location by location, but not square by square. You're navigating neighborhoods. Eldritch Horror, you're navigating around the world, so it's city by city. Mansions of Madness, it's square by square, but Mansions of Madness is much more of an investigative game, where this game plays like Eldritch Horror from the perspective, or Arkham Horror to a certain extent, kind of Arkham Horror, I guess, it's fine, where there's a big bad, and if you don't manage to stop it in time, then you're going to fail to save the world, and the world will end. It'll all be your fault. And yeah, that's what it is. You're saving the world, or saving a town, or saving some significant portion of reality from a great old one, typically. And in this case, much more like Mansions of Madness, you're doing it square by square, where your people actually navigate through hallways. However, Mansions of Madness, you typically don't fight great old ones like that, and it's much more like more like a literary experience, like a book or a adventure. This is the big thing. You're gonna be fighting Cthulhu himself. It is for 1 through 5 players. It's 90 to 120 minutes. These are pretty accurate. Cool Mini or Not, they are really good at, I think, making tight rules, tight production values. In fact, let's just open the box, set it up, and show you what's inside here. All right, whew. There's a lot of stuff in this game. So to get right into it, let me just talk about what is the core of the game. So the core of the game has this like ritual tracker kind of control panel that determines what episode, what great old one, what's your current status of your win-loss ratio. You've got this giant rule book. The rule book has lots of art, lots of diagrams. It's very fully laid out. Now, this is something I'm calling out on all game designers going forward. I demand to have each of the components with their name. I demand it. I will give low star reviews from now on if I don't get that, because it is so difficult sometimes to understand what a component is, and you're just guessing. Yeah, I will, future game review, I will point it out on every single game. Absolutely. All right, you've got all these map pieces. Now, there is 2 ways that you can design these kind of games, in my opinion. One, you can make them cookie cutter. So you can say, hey, everything is perfectly square, rectangular, you know, whatever. Or you can say, hey, designers, you can make whatever you want. Organic, round pieces that don't quite fit together, weird octagons, circles. And this game is a good blend of both. I think that that's really important, as I think we've progressed in game technology past the point of enjoying cookie cutter, like you can play an infinite number of games just with random pieces. No, I don't want that, guys. I don't want it. I want everything to be customized and crafted, because I'm not going to be playing 200 games of this. I want the, 5 to 15 games I play of it to be wondrous, personalized games. And that's where I think these round pieces come from. Now you have a good amount of beautiful minis. This is cool mini or not. Minis is in their name. And these are wondrous, great pieces. I really like them. You've got some Byakhee, you've got fire vampires, you got a lot of cool things. Maybe a Shoggoth. I think it's a Shoggoth. You've got some cultists, two different molds, and then you've got your a fair amount of tokens, fire tokens, your start token, some traits that you can get. So these are just like upgrades that your character can get. And then you've got your figures. I think there's 12 figures here maybe. And each of these figures have the standard template, their health, focus, and their sanity bar, and as well as a turn summary. And then they each have 3 special traits that they can upgrade. So there's a little bit of an RPG component, which I think is very important in these games anymore. Like this, the Cthulhu standard is that they're RPGs, and so you want to level them up. Beautiful minis. You've got these player discs. The player discs allow you to recognize your character from far away. And I have a big table, so actually that's really important. I think it's a super nice little addition. You've also got these color-coded trackers. And this is a huge improvement. These little figures tracking your state instead of giving you huge piles of cardboard. Now, Fantasy Flight Games, they bought Arkham Horror from a previous like indie publisher guy, and that's the origin of all that stuff. They started with tons and tons and tons of cardboard tokens. I don't like it. I don't think anybody likes it. The advantage of endless cardboard tokens is you can't bump the table and accidentally lose your place. Whereas here, obviously you can. So that's the downside, but still, I think most people would just rather slide these little tentacle monster things around to track their current health level. I think it's a huge nicety. You still do have health tokens for monsters and such, but then that's it. So you can't play with this, by the way, guys. This is not enough to play the game. This is just some shared components for you to choose the game scenario you're going to play. And your game scenario consists of a Great Old One plus an episode box. Now, the game comes with 6 episode boxes, and I've opened up episode 1, which is Blasphemous Alchemy, season 1, episode 1. And it comes with 8 mythos cards. It comes with a special rules card. These are things that only work in this scenario. So in this scenario, you can extinguish fire, you can destroy equipment. It says, what's worse than cultists? Cultists who've set the place on fire. Another night and another damn ritual to summon an elder god. If we blow up their labs, we can cause a lot of trouble for whatever it is they are summoning. So super cool. Just a little bit super light, kind of like Call of Cthulhu scenario, like module kind of thing. And so there's some special rules for how you do these things. And different stats for the monsters. So this particular scenario has fire vampires and Byakhee. The Mythos cards, they determine random things that happen at the end of each player's turn, and the things are almost basically always bad as far as I know, and there's chances that it will move the game stage forward. Now, you also we'll talk about game stages in a moment. You also have these discovery cards. The discovery cards are what will make your players so interested in a new episode. So each episode has these discovery cards. The discovery cards are generally good. They consist of choices, and you can get equipment, you can get magical items, you can, yeah, you might have to pay a cost for these things, but you can pick up buddies and companions, Margot the feral student, or you can have a guilty conscience. You should have done something. So sometimes you don't want to pay that cost, right? These things are going to add on to your character. That's the only equipment, effectively equipment that you can get for your character, at least in this episode. And then you've got some things like extra fire tokens. Again, when you allow the game designer to make whatever he wants or she wants, and you just say, you know, if you can fit it in the box, you can have it. Okay, great. He's like, let's set everything on fire. So there's 13 more fire tokens in episode 1 that do not exist in the base game. So the base game, well, I don't know, I think 6 fire tokens. You have 19 fire tokens in this one. So there's gonna be fire everywhere, obviously. Now, then you combine this with a great old one. So I've opened up the Cthulhu box, and inside is, of course, Cthulhu, and he's beautiful. And there is a star spawn. There is 8 more Mythos cards. There is the stage cards, and there is some Riley power or Riley rising tokens. So the stage cards are the different phases of defeating the Great Old One. So in the beginning, you know, Cthulhu's gonna start on the track, and eventually he's gonna come out and he's gonna be angry. And that's the point where you have to start fighting him. Now, what triggers him to go over is some of these Mythos cards have this little symbol on it, this little glyph. And when those appear, if enough of them appear, if 3 of them appear, it moves the game stage forward. When you defeat him, that gets rid of the game stages, and then ultimately he comes back and you defeat him, and then he comes back and you defeat him, and then he's hopefully you won, and he's destroyed. I don't know, destroyed, but he's dismissed, unsummoned, whatever. Each of the Great Old One boxes are very different. Each of the episode boxes are very different. And that is going to give you very different gameplay. So the same episode with different Great Old Ones, going to be different. And different episode boxes are going to have different tokens and different monster stats and all these different cool things. All this stuff, super cool. Now, there's a lot of stuff here though. And at the end, what are you going to do to put it away? Are you going to dread playing this game every time because you don't want to put it back, you know, in the box? No, it's great. I've been asking for this. Oh man, like each of these boxes, they have printouts of what goes in the box with pictures, names and pictures. It's a very important names plus pictures. Come on, game designers, you can see it. The players don't need to know what your things are. I can give this to anybody and say, hey, find these off the table, put this away in the box. I'm gonna go do this. Oh, whoops. Pictures plus names. It's very obvious what goes back in the box. You refill everything back in their boxes, and then whatever's left over, that's what goes in the main box. So that the next time you want to play, you pull the stuff out, and you choose your episode in Great Old One, done. Now, there is 6 episodes, 2 great old ones. That's 12 games, 12 different games. You'll probably lose a couple of them, so maybe 15 to 20 of these games, and that's it. After that, you're going to want to buy more great old ones. You're going to want to buy more episodes. You might get bored with the characters, so you might want to buy more of the character packs. The Kickstarter released a huge, big, giant, another box full of another set of stuff. So I'll do a video on that, and we'll see how much more gameplay is in that box, and try to get an idea at, are they pushing their limits? Because I think the game designers have a lot of power to really get the most out of each of these boxes. It's a pretty cool idea. I really like it. You got these sanity cards. I didn't talk about them. You've only got 8 different sanities, 8 different psychoses. This is my opinion. So now we're going to get to my opinion of what I've seen here and what I've played. I think Cool Mini has really put a ton of effort in the highest quality components. This is super high quality. The dice are custom. They're not numbers. I always love that. And they're engraved. They're not just printed. I love that. These are super giant play mats. Everything is big. I love that. There's not that much gameplay in it. And that's the cost, right? The sacrifice is the box was the box. And they could have doubled the number of great old ones, but they didn't. Because they actually have figures for each great old one, right? You don't have that in Arkham Horror. So you might have 4 great old ones or 5 great old ones. They don't have that. They could have had a book with 15 scenarios. They don't have that. They have 6 scenarios. I think it's worth it. I think it's fantastic. This is what I want. I don't need to feel like I have 15 to 30 different scenarios. And I don't need a bunch of randomized decks. And I don't even need the app. I love the app for Fantasy Flight games. But I don't need an auto-generated app to get what I need. So that's it. This is the game. I love it. I think this is great. I think this satisfies for me what I want out of these Arkham Horror, Call of Cthulhu, RPG light things. I still love Arkham Horror. I still love Eldritch Horror, but this is less abstract. And I think certain players don't like the abstraction layer that exists in some of the other Arkham games. So having Cthulhu Death May Die as this more like D&D-ish, literally your character doing stuff in a room, fighting a monster in a room, running from a monster in a room, that's what I think a lot of people really want. They don't want to feel like, oh, I traveled to Egypt. Oh, what are you doing in Egypt? I don't know. It's just a dot on a map, right? I mean, again, I love those games, but I'm excited about this game. I really like the customization here. So with that, I am going to end this review, little mini review, and I'm going to go on to the comments. So let's see what we have here. Dusty Bun on my Funkoverse review, he says he thinks I forgot to put the stand on the figures. There's a stand on the figures? All right, Dusty Bun. I have to agree with you. I mean, I don't know about the stand. I'll have to look. That probably would have made it so that my Funko Pops didn't fall over. And maybe that's why I didn't fall over. Maybe somebody else put the stand on last time I didn't pay attention when we played. Man, thanks, Dusty Bun. And I love the name. That's awesome. All right. What is Mask of the Nyarlathotep? My win a copy of Cthulhu Wars video. You can still win at this point because it's like another week or so. Matt Crawley. I'm surprised with the number of comments from people who have never heard of this game before. Literally like half the videos of the channel are about Cthulhu Wars, which is no bad thing. I appreciate it, Matt. I get it. Like, I will talk to people and they won't even know. I'm like, wait, you're telling me you play board games every weekend for years and you've never heard of Cthulhu Wars? Okay, well, I kind of get it because Peterson Games, they kind of sell more direct. I think you can't find their things in board game shops very often. They do a lot of Kickstarters, things like that. So if you're not a Kickstarter guy, person, gamer, then then maybe you've never seen it because you only know games you see in board game stores. But then people will tell me like, oh, what's that Scythe game? Scythe is a big game. Terraforming Mars is a big game. Like, those are big games from big publishers that I see everywhere. And so I just feel like they've like got blinders on. I actually try to cover mostly big games. I'd love to hear if you guys want me to cover more indie games. I just worry that if I cover too many small games, then people will be like, I don't want to hear about Bomb Squad. I love TMG games. I would cover a ton of TMG games, but again, I just feel like they're small. All right. Jane Doe comments that at 12 minutes and 1 second in my Cho video that I placed the High Priest in North America, but there is no gate there because I sacrificed it. I think I should have placed it in Atlantic Ocean. You can recruit High Priests anywhere that you have a unit, so I don't need a gate there. But I will trust that I probably made a mistake because, and I'll end the video after this. The reality is that I do a dry run through the video before I hit record. But then when I record and I do things, and then I try to undo it, and then I try to redo it, and then I grab the other camera and I record that, you know, the overhead view or whatever, and then I try to undo it, and then I try to redo it, and things go wrong. I know they do all the time. A lot of times I'll just like cut out. Like if it's horrific and I'm like, oh, I don't want someone to learn something wrong. Like I don't want them to go back to their board game group and then try to teach them how to do something that I thought was wrong, just because I made a mistake. I really need somebody like to sit and watch me and be like, oh, you moved it here, and then when you tried to undo it, you moved it here, and then when you tried to redo it, you moved it here. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to think about all this stuff, guys. I'm like, really, seriously, I need a board game reviewer for all my videos who just like watches me and says like, hey, in the dry run you said this, which is probably correct because I have my notes up. And then in the live recording, I didn't do that anymore. And yeah, that's because I no longer have notes and I'm trying to keep track, and I'm trying to like do and undo, do and undo, do and undo. Yeah, things go wrong sometimes. I appreciate it, Jane Doe. We're all family here, so, you know, you could not use the anonymous names, but whatever, I respect your privacy. And with that, I'm going to end it here. Still another week on my contest. I've noticed no one's really commented that Cthulhu's about to I didn't see it. Cthulhu's about to get his 6th spellbook automatically, and the other 2 don't have their 6 spellbooks yet. Just something. With that, bye guys.